Boo! Hello, how are you? Welcome to another Nemarin Live here on LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitch. Still hanging in there on Twitch. I think we had a viewer on Twitch, which we were very excited about. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, etc. And as ever, it's good to see you. And Happy New Year. It's probably last time you can say Happy New Year, although I think I said that on the last live stream, but there we go. But yeah, best wishes for 2021. Obviously, last year was completely insane. So I really hope that this year works out really well for you and that you're keeping safe. And 2021 is going to be really successful for you. We had some good news at the end of last year. We're now part of the Argonon Group, the massive TV production group, creators of Wurzel Gummidge and The Masked Singer and lots of documentaries for Channel 4 and Netflix and so on. And we're delighted to be part of that group. Provides lots of exciting opportunities for our clients. So if you'd like to know more about that and how you can work with the broadcasters, do let us know. But today we are talking about multi-platform campaigns and return on investment. Good old return on investment. And Nemarin, we really believe in delivering the best ROI for our clients. And of course, one way to do that is through maximizing the use of video content across lots of different platforms. We know that video can be expensive. So yes, we are absolutely driven by those kind of return on the investment conversations that we have with lots of our amazing clients. So yes, we do deliver, the main video, the hero video, but it's things like cut downs of those videos, reversioning the videos, even doing things like extracting stills, high-res stills from 4K shoots, providing transcripts from interviews for blogs and marketing purposes, websites, etc. Taking the audio from interviews for podcasts, tweaking the same edits and adjusting it for different audiences, like internal audiences, external, B2B, salespeople, even things like events and so on. Behind the scenes content for your marketing purposes when you're selling similar campaigns, case study videos once the projects are wrapped, even things like writing scripts so the videos remain evergreen for as long as possible, or at very least are very easy to update. And we've got a few different examples that we're going to be running through today, so we'd love to hear your thoughts. Do use the chat box, the chat facility on whichever website you're using. We'd love to get some questions from you guys. Let us know the pain points that you may have, like from your existing video teams, for example. If you wish your video team could do more of something to help with your return on investment, we'd love to hear those questions. And as I say, just use the chat box on whichever platform you're using, YouTube, etc. Notice this camera's a little bit out of focus. Should have spent more money on that one. Yeah, let's talk about the first project. Not so long ago, we created a large suite of videos for the South Africa Tourist Board. It was an amazing shoot. I don't know if you've been to South Africa, but wow, what a place. And yeah, as I say, that was for the South Africa Tourist Board and the publisher APL. Joining me today to talk about that project and a whole bunch of other things as well is Nemarin senior producer and director, Juan. Hello, Juan.
Hi guys. Hi guys, how are you going?
How are you?
Yes, all good, all good. It brings a lot of nostalgic feelings to talk about the South African trip. That was a pretty epic campaign that involved a lot of traveling and definitely a highlight of that year, which was I think 2018.
Wow, that long ago. And Tom's here as well. Tom, he's another one of our producers. Hey Tom, how you doing?
I am good. How are you?
All right, cool. So, Juan, let's have a chat about the South Africa project. So, in summary, why did this present such a good investment for that particular client?
Well, as with everything, I mean, I think that the way to look at it is the more you put things together, the more you construct a production with all the different deliverables and all the different needs together, the more you economize on it and the more return on investment you get, because basically you will do it all at once instead of like having to go repeatedly to a place, which every time having to put the taximeter, every time you need to send a crew or then a photographer. So what we did here was join forces with the client and just guide them into packing it all up and just create a unit of a team that worked together. So as a result, the plan ended up being a 3-week trip to South Africa, where we would be traveling across the whole country. Now, the deliverables for this, obviously, we take care of video. So there were many deliverables, 12 different films, 12 different documentaries, based on 12 different travel guides. There was also a TV ad that had to be done, recutting all of these mini documentaries. But there was also a print article. There was also a journalist traveling with us who was using the interviews that I was carrying out for the documentaries as support for her writing pieces. And there was also a photographer. So if you imagine, it was literally one of each on all the medias that you can cover for a campaign, traveling together and really operating as one unit. So this made all the sense in the world because of the bulk booking of doing these 12 films at the same time. We were able to just interweave all of the other requirements. So there we went for 3 weeks, covering 6 pillars: wildlife and safari, breathtaking scenery, food and drink, active adventure, city life, and culture and heritage. There is a dedicated microsite for the digital content, which is what we're seeing, which basically has all of the videos and the articles and the stills, where you can basically gather the magnitude of the whole campaign. And there were also print magazines for travel fairs, where you would see the same story but being told in print, and perhaps even in more depth, because then the writer had extra time to speak with the talent. And then last but not least is the TV commercial, which I don't believe is on the microsite, but then it was broadcasted. So all in all, I mean, you tell me, like, this is a pretty it sounds like a pretty good deal. It's a no-brainer if you're having the need to have all these deliverables, to package it all up.
Yeah, and I guess also because there's no presenter, it's quite quick to shoot, so you can shoot lots of content in a day. You know, maybe 2 different videos per day, for example. You know, a long day, but you could potentially do that. So again, kind of think about that return on investment. You might be filming for, say, 5 days, but you can actually shoot a lot of content in a short space of time.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, once you're there, we literally were, the camera was rolling. The way we programmed this was, as soon as there was arrival, normally we would do the interview first. Initially, we'd meet the travel person, have a chat with them, reinforce the already agreed structure that we had for this video, and then see, once in location, we would find more different angles and more interesting elements to add to it. And we were filming from the from the word go. So definitely there was the down times, and this is just like more a kind of production insight, where we were having dinner and the end decompressing. Every day was amazing. It was one of the best campaigns I actually have ever worked with. Done. And then we were just prepping what would be the next thing that we could film, because there was a stuff that we hadn't planned, but then you arrive there and then all of a sudden we have like an incredible scenery, and then the sun rises through there, and then there's all these extra things that keep coming, that they keep adding value of having this kind of work mode always on, and looking out how much we can expand even more, so that what's already discussing pre-production, because once you are there in location, you will find more interesting stuff.
Okay, so it's amazing. So from one shoot, there was lots of documentaries, there were cut downs, Instagram versions, obviously YouTube videos. We were probably discussing things like pre-roll ads and so on. But it's amazing to be able to create a TV ad as well from this incredible footage. And then doing things like extracting stills from the video footage for thumbnails and so on. So again, it's just all about that return on investment for our clients. But let's actually have a look at one of the short documentaries that Juan directed for us. This is from the KwaZulu-Natal. Let's have a look.
We are in KwaZulu-Natal. KwaZulu means the place of the Zulu people or the home of the Zulu people. When it comes to religion, culture, and everything, we are very rich. My name is Togo Jili, and I'm a tourist guide. My passion is culture. There is so much to show people here. The white stones that you see, they are a temple. There is a very indigenous religion in South Africa, mainly in this province. It is known as the Nazareth Baptist Church, but in Zulu we call it Shembe Church. It's just stones and then they paint them white just to show that it's their holy place. One of the biggest rivers in South Africa, Umgeni River, a walking distance from where we are now. Rivers in our culture are part of our rituals. That's where boys get time to propose love from girls. It's very easy to do that on the rivers because the kids will be sent to fetch water from the rivers. She's coming to propose. Hi, Bo. Even the girls, when they feel bored, they just go to the river for the sake of getting some more love proposals. You want to be my Ben 10? Yes. I don't talk to young boys like you. I don't get when Tomba Sashungan so Tolo Munye.
Sasiyam basiyona nanga pambi goguye sikole. Sasiyam basiyona nanga pambi goguye sikole. Sasiyam basiyona.
The young boys and girls that performed for us, oh my God, everything is about the rhythm. You can't just wake up and sing whatever you want to sing. Everything has a beat. When you sing for a person, you need to get to that person's heart. The heart needs to beat with the music. The beat comes from the singing as well, which goes to the heart touching. We love our culture. We are very proud of it in a way that we hold on to it. When you come to South Africa, people are warm. But when you go to KZN, which is us, KwaZulu-Natal, we are the warmest people in the world. Meet my South Africa!
Cool. That was I love that film. I would have loved to have met her. She seems incredible fun. She was lovely.
Oh, yeah, I cannot tell you how charming. She's disarming. You can't just you fall in love immediately as soon as you see her, and it was memorable to have spent 2-3 days that we spent together. Yeah, she's fantastic, one of a kind.
Yeah, there's an amazing client to work with, and we do lots of travel projects at Nemarin. And just again, thinking about that return on investment, if, for example, at an early stage, we had a conversation around we need to be able to take that footage and create an in-flight pre-roll, for example. And I've seen this happen elsewhere with another project when I used to work at the Telegraph for St. Kitts and British Airways, where I was kind of half asleep after like 5 gin and tonics, and suddenly the ad I'd made at the Telegraph, the 30-second ad, was playing in flight. And again, it's just that return on investment. It doesn't really take a huge amount of extra post-production time to do that, but it's that added value back to our clients. And Juan, just thinking about the microsite actually. So that video didn't just go to YouTube, it went to a dedicated microsite where people can book flights and book accommodation and all sorts.
Correct. So as you say, there were several links with with the campaign. For instance, one of them, I think it was the first, it was the opening of the direct flight Durban-London, and that was part of the campaign as well. So this is for KwaZulu-Natal, but there was another documentary based on Durban, and you could book flights, it was connected, and all of the videos were playing on the macro site, where you could buy not only the flights, but also accommodation, supporting articles. So any kind of information, if the video tickled your curiosity, you could find it there. You could just be in this space, and then maybe you're looking at one area, maybe you add in extra areas once you're already out there in South Africa. So all form part of like a cohesive, really 360 wrapped campaign.
Yeah,
but they were also used. They were also played at large events or large tourism fairs. There were big screens where they were showing the films that we made, and I can't remember, but quite potentially as pre-roll as well on YouTube.
Yes, I think you remember correctly. And the other fun thing is, of course, on the print side, and we're looking at a PDF of a print magazine here. And I think Juan was explaining earlier that there was a photographer who was on location with us. And that photographer was used to working with video teams. And there was that kind of mutual respect in terms of time and kind of knowing that the photographer needs an hour, but I also need like an hour to do what I need to do. And having that empathy is really important. But it means that the shoot was kind of quicker, which saves some money and so on. And we're looking at some amazing photographs here from the magazine. For the slightly smaller resolution images on the thumbnails, perhaps, that you see there, you can actually extract the stills from some of the video as well, because I guess, Juan, we're typically shooting 4K, right?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. So we shot 4K for that very same reason, because then you can manipulate the image, you can crop in, and you can readapt the frame. But also you can do extracts that could work just for digital, either going to be on a screen, on a mobile or a device, not for big print billboard, but definitely for something like this, they could definitely work.
And we're going to be chatting to, I think, Tom in a second about another project. But Juan, just quickly, could you talk to us about and explain the kind of pre-production process in terms of understanding the bigger picture, and again, that return on investment and multi-platform nature of the campaigns, and understand
Sure, absolutely.
What's the best way of delivering the maximum return?
Sure. So obviously the client knows what they need. They have all these different necessities that they need to cover. They don't necessarily have to know 100% video or the production or logistics. So this is where we come in, and we just join forces. So after having several meetings to assess the scope of what they were needing, we will be guiding them onto what's the best procedure. So we suggested we should definitely go there for a whole month, or 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, and then just execute all of this at the same time. Let's not just split it and go at different times. You're going to lose. It's doable if that works for you and you've got the money, but you might as well just keep this super cohesive and just send all of that. So they agreed with that. We immediately got on the same plan, and then we lean on them for them to identify what were the key themes that they wanted to highlight, because obviously it's their brand. We had like our idea, but it is them. So they come up with the main purpose was, if I don't remember incorrectly, was to tackle the unfair bad rep that South Africa gets when it comes to tourism. A lot of people think that you're going to go there and it's unsafe and you're going to get robbed. You can't, and a lot of people had this kind of unsafe fear. Now, of course, like with everywhere else, any other place in the world, you just need to be careful what you're doing and when. But it was to demystify this. This is completely out of the question. And then within that, we had to then bring and change people's mentality, because on the poll that they had done, people had no idea of things that South Africa had, like super rich in culture and heritage, in city life, and being the most biodiverse country in the whole world. So all of these things we had to be tackling them. And that was all done in the pre-production. So identifying 12 key people in the tourism industry who were at the top of their game. Toko, the woman that you just seen, being one of them. and then using them, leaning on them as being or a guide to cover all of these messages that the brand needed to come across. Now, then we were working, as you say, with the photographer. So the way that this worked on the pre-production, we did meet the photographer, and then we had a good chat. And it's industry standard nowadays that you need to work. You need to make this smooth for each other. Long gone are the days where there was like the photographer and the videographer like fighting for the talent. This is just like, doesn't work like that anymore. You need to work simultaneously. You allow time, and then you chat. Which is the light that works best for you? When do you want to have your time? You want to have 5 minutes after the interview. If you like my setup, so we work like this all of the time. So if you see the stills would be very similar to what I had just filmed for an interview, then he just jump on it. And then there are things that he photographed that didn't really quite work for me for video, or I was filming something else. So this is how you plan it, and you can agree it on the pre-production. Same with the writer. She'd be sitting next to me on the interview, and many times she'd be writing me a question like, can you ask this? But if that didn't allow, because sometimes I'm doing it, she had then her own time with the talent, and then she could ask extra questions. And even sometimes she could come to me like, do you remember? And we would work on that. And that was completely, it made sense because we were all creating these stories. So that's, talk about returning on investment. You're just having a brand new team that has been created specifically to cover all of your needs, to target all of your messages, who are supporting each other and working as a unit, which is, reinforcing, making the writing better, making the stills better, making the video better, because they're retrofeeding into each other. So, after having done the campaigns and then having seen the videos and trying to be biased, they really hit the nail on the head of making people want to travel there, because it just feel like, well, it's a no-brainer. Why I'm not going to this country where there's all these, things that I can do, and I just need to. It is on the same time zone, because this was a campaign for UK market specifically. So I think, this is basically a perfect example on why is the way to go if you're having so many needs to cover. Just
amazing to hear about those efficiencies on sets, because ultimately that means a tighter, shorter sheet, which actually can help get the price down for our clients, which is great. And Tom, you were involved in collecting all of this amazing footage. You must have had, I don't know, I can't even work it out, many hours of amazing and your job was to kind of take that content and kind of create a TV ad, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly. So once we delivered the campaign, which was the 12 sort of hero videos for digital, which were posted on the microsite, we had the opportunity to create a television advert based on the same campaign. So the advantage of having done the main campaign and all the other videos first was that we were really familiar with the footage. We were really familiar with our favorite bits which maybe hadn't made the final cut in the hero films for online for various reasons. And it was an opportunity to condense all of the best bits into a 30-second broadcast ad. So the process was quite straightforward, because it was basically a few days of editing, and that's kind of it, because all the hard work had been done. Juan had done all the legwork with the digital campaign and the production, so it really was just a case of getting the footage and turning it into a promo, basically. A little bit of time for Clearcast to make sure that it was all sort of on-air friendly, and we weren't misrepresenting anything, and just finalizing that message. And it was done very, very quickly, within just a couple of weeks, and for a relatively very affordable amount of money. So once that initial sort of legwork had been done, the initial production, it was very, very straightforward to create a television ad, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Most people think that TV ads are super expensive, and obviously they can be. But if you already have the footage and you're kind of already creating things like pre-rolls and so on, they actually don't have to be wildly expensive. But let's have a little look.
Exactly. Let me intercut you here.
Go for it. Yeah. Go
Sorry.
for it,
Yeah, I was just on that point. Just on that point is on the release forms. Sorry, it's just like, since you're at that point, so we don't need to pick it up later. you do cover it when you're filming, and then just make sure everybody signs the release form, which works for the print, but then it covers also for this, because good luck to you trying to find these people walking by on the Golden Mile on the Durban beach on the 12th of October of 2018. So you just basically, anyone who's too much on the foreground, you plan to cover that everything needs to be basically cleared, and then that makes Thomas's life easier when he's going through Clearcast, and all of that is in order. That's crucial. It's just stopping somebody to sign a piece of paper, but that can open all the limitless possibilities of then going to broadcast.
Excellent stuff. All right, well, let's have a look at the ad.
I don't think that anybody should be thinking about coming here. Just questioning decide when.
When it comes to religion, culture, and everything, we are very rich.
First time I came here, it just blew my mind.
For me, paradise isn't overseas, it's over here.
Meat, 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 meat.
My South Africa.
Fantastic stuff. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be expensive at all, as we've just spoken about. And particularly if you know about these things in pre-production, you can engineer lots of deliverables into the campaign. So that was a campaign that kind of spun print, broadcast, and digital video. But we're going to have a chat now with Tom about another multi-platform campaign, this time for the amazing charity that is SOS Children's Villages. It's a campaign that spanned online video, obviously, but also a global TV campaign, various digital assets, and out of home as well. So from one shoot, you're getting a whole load of content without it necessarily, really busting the bank. But Tom, perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about that campaign.
Yeah, sure. So it was in a similar way to the South Africa campaign that Juan's just spoken about. This was something which was initially decided by the client, that we had a very specific brief and a very clear idea that this was the campaign they wanted to create. And it had to include broadcast TV ads, social media cut downs, images for print, the hero ad, which would go on digital platforms, and all this kind of stuff. So again, it was from day one, it was all decided that this is what we were going to create. So it was a case of finding the best way to do that in the sort of most efficient way possible, I suppose. So the actual production itself was just 3 days. We've spoken about it previously, and I'm sure we can find some links to the last live that we did, where we spoke to director Jack as well. But it was a 3-day production. There were 2 days in London and 1 day in Jordan, in Amman. And from that, we got all of our main scenes, which we consolidated into the TV ad. And then that was kind of the anchor around which everything else sat. So from then, we could also create the social media cut downs. There was a photographer on set as well. So after every scene, the photographer would step in and take the photos that they needed, which would be used for print banners, digital ads, Facebook headers, all this kind of stuff. And then once the cut downs had been created, there was an opportunity to build them into an out-of-home sort of digital billboard, because there are these quite striking portraits of the children, which just worked really, really well when combined with text to be a standalone digital billboard for the client, basically. So it was very much a case of knowing that from this production, from these 3 complex but relatively achievable days, that we would be filming everything that we needed to create an enormous suite of content. And the client still has the rushes, so you can go back to the project at any time and create more stuff and recut it into different edits for use future down the line. So just that initial investment has opened the doors to an absolutely enormous amount of content that they can use and continue to use for their marketing classroom.
Okay, well, let's have a look at the TV ad in question. really pleased to have done our bit for that amazing charity. And yes, obviously we're talking about return on investment. They had a whole suite of content, as Tom just alluded to, from that one shoot. Should we talk about out of home, Tom? So I think some of the amazing stills that we had from the children were used out of home, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So you saw that at the end of that advert, where we have those really striking portraits of the children, and we just thought that was an excellent opportunity to use them as standalone pieces of content, just accompanied by text, and they would work perfectly on big digital billboards, basically. Really kind of eye-catching images. You can see them on the screen right now. Beautifully shot by our DP with top-of-the-range Alexa Mini and Cook prime lenses. And it's not story-led, it's not necessarily narrative in the sense that of the production that we'd made previously, but it was all made on the same day. We used these images in the overarching narrative, but they just work so well as isolated pieces of content, almost as a separate campaign. So when we shot it, we actually did several things. Boy, at the moment that you can see is quite upset, but we obviously, these actors are incredible, and we could do sad scenes, happy scenes, confident scenes, make them look kind of resilient, and all of these range of emotions. So the client just had an enormous array of options in the final edit.
Yeah, so I think with this particular element of the campaign, we went back with the client to the rushes to say, how can we really sweat the rushes? How do we get more content out of this content? We sort of remembered that we had these amazing looks to camera, which worked perfectly for digital out-of-home signage, which is fantastic. Now, we did have a photographer on set, which is great, because obviously you can't beat that, really, if you're looking to use stills. But if you're in a situation where you can't have a photographer on set, are there still some options, some ways that we can help our clients, Tom?
Yeah, exactly. So there was a project we did for Nat Geo Traveller UK and the Tobago Tourist Board, which was a little similar to the South Africa project, but it was just a few days of filming for one 3-minute video. But the schedule was pretty jammed. It was pretty full on with filming and interviewing, and there wasn't a lot of time, physically not enough hours in the day to be able to shoot something and then pause and do the photography as well. And it's never entirely successful if you try and do these things in tandem, because they require different lighting setups, things like that. But because we were filming on a top of the range red camera, shooting in high resolution 4K footage, we could extract high quality stills from the raw rushes at the end of the shoot and use them as images, basically, so that they were perfect for social media posts or Facebook page headers, event collateral, newsletters, all this kind of stuff. Not if you want sort of massive, like Piccadilly Circus billboards or billboards on the side of the bus, then photography is always going to be your best bet for that. But if you're looking for online images, then you can't go wrong with exporting some of these incredible stills. They're masterful images in their own right.
So just to kind of summarize before we talk about the last case study, so we're talking the main digital video, and we can all chip in here because I'm about to forget stuff. We've got the main digital video, we've got potential TV ads, we've got, what else can we chuck in? Pre-rolls, might even have like in-flight content. You could rip the audio for podcasts, transcripts for blog posts, out of home signage, and you can extract stills for print. Anything else? All sorts. It's amazing. Where do I sign?
Yeah. I suppose the main takeaway is to remember that just because you're buying a video doesn't mean you're just buying a video. You're buying everything that comes with that and all of the doors that open in association with that. Because when you're on shoot, when you're on production and you've got the camera crew there and you've got the talent there and you're on location, you may as well just make the most of it. So that's when you can turn, like with SOS, when we turn the camera on its side and we could shoot vertically as well. So then we had all of the videos bespoke for vertical images. for Instagram lives and TikTok videos and things like that. And then, yeah, like you said, Pete, at the end of it, you'll have all of the audio, which you can use for podcasts. If you have a long interview with someone, maybe you're only cutting it down into a couple of minutes in the final film, then why not take the full interview and put that as a podcast or as a separate piece of content? Turn the transcripts into written articles. There's an endless amount of things that you can do. So just because you're on set filming for 1 or 2 days doesn't mean you're only going to end up with one thing at the end of the project.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be a whole suite of content. So just don't think about the one video, think about the whole suite of stuff that we could deliver, because it is all about the return on investment. And also, there's something else we can chuck in as well to help you kind of win new sales if you're an agency, for example. And that's taking the campaign, print, digital, video, and creating a case study video, which you can then reuse to either, I don't know, like submit for an award or sell a similar campaign to another client. And Tom, I think we have an example of a case study video for a live stream project that we worked on for the Welsh Tourist Board.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So this was something we did for Mid Wales Tourism, Visit Mid Wales. This was a series of videos that we did where we created 4 live streams. It was a slow TV thing. So the idea was for people to be able to just sit back and enjoy nature. This particular video that you're seeing at the moment is I suppose, a summing up of the whole campaign. So this is an opportunity where we can consolidate these 4 live streams into just one 60 to 90 second video explaining a little bit about behind the scenes, the reasons why we did the campaign, and importantly, how we did the campaign and the successful results at the end of it. So this is an opportunity to create a piece of content that stands alone, and it's great for pitches. If your sales team want to go and take it out and say, look, here's an amazing campaign that we did, people loved it around the world. Potential clients are going to sign up on the basis of this, so they don't have to go away and dig into all of the little aspects of the campaign. It's just consolidating everything into one short video. Awards submissions, like you said, Pete, often awards bodies will kind of be looking for an overarching, I suppose, overview of the campaign. So this is a great way to sum it all up. Yeah.
Fantastic. And yeah, as I say, if we talk about it up front at the beginning of the booking, that video looks great, but in reality, we're using templates there, and it takes like a day and a half to put together, if we given all of the stats. So we can just factor that into the post-production schedule, because it sort of helps us to kind of help you sell more campaigns. And we know things like those case study videos can be really useful. So listen, guys, thanks very much for your time today. It was always good to talk about past campaigns and how we can help our clients and just be really driven on the return on investment. So yeah, so there you have it. You can get a huge amount of content from just one single campaign. And the main thing is just don't be limited to just thinking about that one product. It shouldn't just be one video. It should be a whole load of videos, and that they can use on all sorts of platforms, because it is really all about your return on investment. And that's something that we sincerely believe in. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you very much indeed. Hi to Caesar. Hi, Caesar. Maybe one day we will go to Brazil and get to but that's it for today. I hope you have a great afternoon, and we'll leave you with our not quite updated, nearly finished 2020 showreel.
Film and Video,
the world's branded video agency.
2020 showreel.
I always wanted to be a storyteller.
I knew I wanted to do something more creative,
something really magical.
Everything is about rhythm.
Ow! Sheer publicity.
Okay, so the faces thing?
Yeah.
is no comparison to beauty.
And you will never get bored of it.
Nemarin.